This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Lawyer Tom writes, pointing out that to win by more than 8.5 points, Iowa would need to score more than 8.5 points. That's a cheap shot there on their offense. Just ordered, David from Marshall. Can't wait for my Mase in your face T-shirt. You're welcome.
What do you mean I'm welcome?
920 guy. I listened to a lot of Husker football podcasts the week of the game. I'll tell you one thing they all had in common. They all despise PJ Fleck. One analyst went on a 5-minute tirade about PJ at Big Ten Media Day wearing dress shoes without socks. He is in their heads. Trail ref guy, can't stand Iowa. I just don't trust PJ in a big spot. I'll take Ferentz' experience and their defense all day. So a lot of very, very differing, polarizing opinions on PJ, on Nebraska, and the whole bit. Have you ever worn dress shoes to an event like, let's say, Big Ten Media Day without socks?
No. It was a yes or no question.
Yeah, you answered. No, you answered. These kids today are different.
I'm a dinosaur.
Okay, you admit it.
If I want to put a suit on or slacks and a sport jacket, I wear socks.
You know my issue?
But I also don't put a suit on and wear tennis shoes.
Well,
and you see that look.
Yeah, that's the style now. I just don't like wearing any shoes without socks. I don't like the feeling on my feet at all. I don't care about the style, how it's supposed to look. In fact, I think the Jordan halftime interview yesterday, he was wearing tennis shoes without socks.
He's probably wearing no-show socks.
Well, that's true. He could have had
they're
no-show
probably
socks.
wearing socks.
I just don't like. I don't like the feel on my feet. I want socks on. Is that wrong?
No, it's your personal preference.
What about?
I got shoes on. I don't have socks on.
Yeah, but you got low socks.
I don't have any socks.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, that's wrong.
Barry Alvarez would love to join this show.
That's wrong. That's
What's
just
wrong about it?
No, I don't. That's just not. Well, but then what's the difference? Why you're doing it? Why can't PJ do it? You're saying because of the event it is involved?
Because the way I'm dressed. I got a pair of ripped up blue jeans on, tennis shoes, a vest on. But if I came in here and got all dressed up, I'd have socks and shoes. And I'm not saying that he's wrong for what he's doing.
Sounds like you are.
No, it's not. You asked me a question.
Yeah, I did.
Have I ever? And I said no.
Now,
I'm glad the Nebraska guy's focusing on the important things.
Have you ever, or will you ever make the jump to Lululemon pants?
I have Lululemon pants.
Oh, you do have? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were more of a blue jean guy, but you mix it up.
No, I do.
Okay,
yeah.
just wondering.
Yeah.
Because that's new school.
Well, I know.
And a lot of old school guys have not made that jump. I wear them all the time, and I can't get it.
I got a pair, and I love them.
They're comfortable.
Oh.
Are they not?
Are you trying to pitch Lululemon pants?
Well, no, any of them. I mean, just that style.
I got the style. They look nice.
They don't wrinkle.
Yeah.
You have to worry about any of that.
No, they're great. Yeah. Very comfortable. You know what? Now I like to ride if I'm like a trip on an airplane. You know, I never used to get on an airplane that I didn't have a sport jacket on. Yeah. I wouldn't even wear blue jeans. Well, now it's a little different.
Well, you could make the argument. Gaardsy and I have talked about this over the years. I'm not a dress code guy, obviously, but you'd like to think there would be limits to how low people can go getting on airplanes in terms of what they wear now. Right?
Let me tell you the other end of it. You know, when I coached
with their backpacks,
different day and age. My last year coaching was 2006. Most days I wore a shirt and tie to work. Mm-hmm. You know, not every day, but most days.
Yeah.
And the reason being, I never knew when I get called up on campus or something like that. And I used to have my coaches not wear ties and stuff. But they had to wear slacks, not jeans, slacks, and a regular shirt, button-down shirt, whatever. And I had one of my coaches say, why? We watch film and then we go to practice. And I said, listen, if you want to just dress like a gym teacher, then be a gym teacher. I said, there's very, very seldom things I did without a purpose. Yeah. And I said, I wanted to set an example for the players. I said, sooner or later, after their playing days on, they're going to have to go get a job. You have a job. You're well paid for a job. Dress like, you've got a job. And really the theory was, I said, if I let you wear sweats, those guys will wear shorts and T-shirts. If I let you guys wear shorts and T-shirts, players will come in naked. It's always going to be one step below. So I wanted at least to have a dress code. And then the other thing I used to make them do, I used to make them wear shirts and ties on road trips.
That's what I was going to ask next. I thought that's what your dress code was.
I used to say, this is a...
Were they mad about that?
They didn't like it, I'm sure. This is a business trip. But I said, probably someday you're gonna have to go get a job. And I'm just trying to... If you want to optimize your chances of getting a job, you got to look the part. Yeah. It's not the only thing, but you got to look the part. So you got to have, shoes on, and they better be semi-polished.
Yeah.
Better have a pair of socks on. Nice slacks, sport jacket.
Jeans?
No jeans.
No jeans. So dress pants, too, with the sport coat.
Did I ever tell you the Tony Sands story?
I don't think so.
When I was at Kansas, I recruited this kid out of, he was Michael Irvin's cousin, by the way, from St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Fort Lauderdale. Tony Sands. And he was a little running back. I mean, he was really good. The only reason we got him at Kansas because he was 5'6", 165 pounds. But he was really good. So I told all the incoming freshmen, make sure you bring a suit and tie, because if you make the travel team, you got to wear. So the first road trip, here comes Tony Sands. He's got a tuxedo on. And I go, Tony, come here. What's the tuxedo? He said, well, I had to wear a suit. And he says, my uncle works at a tuxedo store. I didn't have a suit, so he gave me this. So I thought, okay, I don't want to borrow. So he started wearing, that's what he wore all the time. Well, the next year, and because he played as a freshman, next year he shows up. He's got a tuxedo again, but he still had the label on the cuff, sewn in. And I thought, geez, he forgot it. I said, Tony, come here. I says, you forgot to take the label. Oh, no. He said, I want everybody to know the label. I said, why? He says, I want everybody to know this is a new tuxedo. Okay? No, I'm serious. So now he got nicknamed Tuxedo Tony. Now,
good alliteration.
His claim to fame, senior year against the University of Missouri, he rushed for 396 yards.
396?
396 yards. Okay? And after the season was over, I tried to get him into one of these postseason.
Yes.
So I knew some people out at the East-West game, and I called it. This guy should go in the game. So this guy said, well, I'll check on it. He called me back, says, I can't get him in. I said, why? He says, the committee thinks he's too much of a hot dog. I said, what are you talking about? He says, the tuxedo deal. I said, you got it all wrong. And I told him the whole story.
The whole story, yeah.
And I said, take this kid. And I personally promised that if you're not 100% happy with it, you send me the bill for the air travel, meals, hotel, I'll personally reimburse you. So they took him. Well, after 2 days, the guy called me up and he said, you are so right. He said, he's such a hit out here. We've never had a better player representative at the Children's Hospital.
Oh, wow.
They all loved him. You know why? Because he was about the same
Tuxedo
size
Tony.
as them. Tuxedo Tony Sands.
That's a good story. I don't think you told it. Gaardsy, you remember that story?
I remember the record, the 396. We've talked about that.
Yeah, we have talked about that, but not the tuxedo part. That's a great backstory. Yeah, that's outstanding.
Hey, you know what? Here's the media that's great. So after the game, now Tony's not very big.
What's wrong with the media?
He rushes for 396 yards.
Did you win the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course we won the game.
Well, I'm just saying, that hasn't always happened that way when you had 400 yards rushing.
The questions that you're going to get when you go into the media.
Yes.
Guys like you, right?
Yes.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, here's what I'm going to get hit with because we were blowing him out. Why did you keep running the ball? Why didn't you worry you was going to get hurt? Didn't you know this? All that.
Those are fair points.
Because those you know what the first question was?
What's that?
Why didn't you let him carry the ball one more time for 400 yards? Honest to God.
390. Do you remember how many carries? Any idea? Gaardsy can look it up.
I'll look it up.
Was it like 50? Knowing
remember.
you back then, all you wanted to do then was run the ball, right? Back in those days.
Yeah.
Of course, if he was running that well, I don't blame you. We need to put Grand in somebody's. We got bonus bucks now. We got one more segment with Mase.
Kansas City Star says 58 carries versus
58?
Missouri in
What, do you want to kill the
1991.
kid? What are you trying to do? That's abuse.
How many times do you think you got to carry the ball and get 396 yards?
Man, that's a lot.
I block better and give him 40 carries.
58 carries.
Okay.
The Fan and Two Men and a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. The 4 o'clock keyword is win, which Mase did against Missouri, thanks to Tony Sands. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword win.
All right, one more segment with Mase in your face. Then Jonny Athletic will file a live report from Portland. He is tracking the Wolves. Will open the season tonight right here on the Timberwolves channel. Well, I think actually eventually it'll be on the Fan as well after the Wild game. Gaardsy, you've done a little more deep diving research when it comes to Tuxedo Tony?
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, but not since the Kansas City Star caught up with them just about 6 weeks ago.
Nice.
To talk about that game.
They couldn't find him up until 6 weeks ago?
I don't know why. Because was he in the
anniversary?
Was he in the Ring of Honor already? Because they mentioned that he's in the Ring of Honor. I don't know if that was the occasion.
No. Unlike some other places that I won't mention.
I shouldn't have even brought it up.
So other places.
Hey,
he's been in the Ring of Honor down there for a long time.
Somebody told me that, was there a former Gopher who got honored at halftime of the Gopher game?
Oh, yeah. Greg Esslinger, the guy that should be in the Ring of Honor.
Did you introduce him at the halftime ceremony?
I'm embarrassed to say this. I didn't go because I didn't even know to the last minute that it was happening.
You're kidding me.
And I wasn't invited.
What?
No.
How is that possible?
Well, I'm telling you.
Did you coach him?
Recruited and coached.
Are you still? Do you live here? Well, when you're not in Fargo, at least.
I'm one of you guys.
Maybe they just assumed you're going to be in Fargo.
I'm one of you guys. Yeah.
That's embarrassing. But go ahead, Gaardsy. You were saying.
So Tony Sands says probably 360 is when the coaches said, "Okay, we're not too far from the national record." Everybody said, "Let's go for it." We went to pound away. It was a team effort. At one point, the defense had to come together and get them off the field 3 and out so we could get back on. Dana Stubblefield recovered a fumble. And we went back on the field. That's where we finished it out. The offensive lineman loved what was going on. Chip Hillary wanted to throw it one more time. He did throw it one more time, and Coach Mason called over Pat Rule, the offensive coordinator, and said, "If Chip Hillary throws another ball, I'm going to fire you on the spot."
That's accurate.
With about 2 minutes left, Sands were called. Mason called a timeout so that Sands could exit to a standing ovation. Sands is not upset. Mason didn't call a few more plays for Sands going in late to hit the 400-yard mark. Mace said, "I didn't want you to go in there and lose yards, and then we lose the record. I just said we were all cool with that," because he said the press is going to kill me for these many yards in a blowout. But when we got into the press conference, the first question they asked was, "Why didn't you let him get 400 yards?"
Let me ask you once again. Do you think I just make these stories up?
Well, sometimes, yes.
Huh?
You embellish them.
Really?
It is nice to have a fact check.
Well, no, I know, and you do it all the time.
Fact and fiction.
And you do it because you want to catch me saying something inaccurate. And I think as long ago as that was, it's pretty darn accurate.
No, that is impressive. So how many carries again?
58.
And how many yards?
396.
So 396 divided by 58. That's still 6.8 yards a carry. That's pretty damn good.
How about this? Sands, his girlfriend at the time.
His wife. He was married.
Oh, he was married. Had left the stadium on a very cold day, but returned after hearing on the radio in her car, probably Carrie Limo. Tony was so close to the greatest rushing performance in NCAA history. Security escorted her all the way to the gate where she could actually see me set the record. Said Coach Mason was never a guy who spoke about records. He was just trying to get us to become winners.
Do you know, have you ever heard of somebody
named... And that made you 6-5, Mace. That's what Tony said. He goes, we were losers when I came in.
How did you not win more games with a running back that good?
You know how tough the Big 8 was back then?
That's true, yeah.
It was a little different than the Big 12.
You think so?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Have you ever heard of a running back named Monty Quinn?
Monty Quinn. I
don't know what level. Rushed for 522 yards on 20 carries with 7 touchdowns. Obviously a different level of college football, but good grief, only 20 carries. Do you know that name, Gaardsy?
I don't. You know why they probably talked about that, Mace, this game? I'm trying to figure it out because it was Missouri-Kansas who hadn't played in a while.
Okay.
And that's a big rivalry, right?
Let me
sorry, but go ahead.
But Tony was a kid, I told you, he came to college married with 2 children.
Wow.
And his wife worked in a nail salon. And Tony used to come to practice with Tony Jr. and Maxie. Little.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, behave yourself. Daddy's got to go to work. And I'd watch those kids. They'd play on the sideline, beat the heck out of each other, tackle each other, tackle the bags and all that stuff, But one day, I'm in my office, and my secretary, Marge Hazlitt, says that the principal at Sunflower Elementary School's on the phone for you. And I think, elementary school. So I get on, and she says, Coach, we can't get a hold of Tony. We can't get a hold of his wife. And Maxie's sick in the nurse's office. Okay. Could you come down and pick him up? And I said, why are you calling me? And she says, well, they have you listed as the
emergency
nearest living relative.
That's a compliment.
That is a compliment.
You should take that.
So I did. So I went up there. I picked him up, brought him down to my office, laid him on the couch. I had a TV back then that no one took. I put cartoons on. I got him a little 7-Up, and he spent the afternoon
How
there.
about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to put you down as my kids.
Yeah, see?
We had to pick him up 2 days ago. I should have just had you do it.
But Tony, for your nearest relative,
got the time.
I was near. The elementary school is only a mile away. So
that's pretty good. That's funny. We've talked a lot about the Indiana story. They have a chance to. I think they're the big Saturday game this week, hosting UCLA. But we haven't talked about the other story you classify as the other big one in college football. Who is that and why?
I think there's at least two great stories. Indiana, obviously. Vanderbilt. When can you remember Vanderbilt being relative? Really? And you think about, they beat LSU last week. LSU.
Your guy, Brian Kelly.
They looked faster and more athletic, too.
I mean, and Jerry Kill's down there, I believe, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
He brought the quarterback from New Mexico State.
Well, that was a good deal. That was a good hire then. But anyway, this week, they play Missouri. I think Missouri's ranked number 10. I hate to say it, but if they beat Missouri this week, I think they leapfrog Indiana as being the best story. Only I'm saying because of level of competition.
Absolutely, sure. Yeah, you can't deny the competition.
Yeah, and, I mean, all the obstacles down there being a private school in Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And, they don't seem to fit into the SEC.
No, they never. Well, they haven't. And certainly not in football till now. That's what makes it a hell of a story.
Say the only easy place to play in the SEC is Vanderbilt.
Not anymore. No. Will P.J. Fleck take the Penn State job? That's from 952 guy.
Was he offered it?
Not that I'm aware of, but he's,
I don't know. I keep saying this. I don't know why people think PJ is looking to leave. The thing,
Well, I'll give you the reason.
Wait, landscapes, let me tell you, landscapes change, okay? He made a lot of money here, right? And I think that's what's happened really with the college football playoff and all, and the expansion of the conference. I think some of the maybe unrealistic expectations that used to exist for some programs have been diminished. No one talks about going to the Rose Bowl anymore.
No, that's true.
And the 12-game schedule, and I don't know. I think he's in a really, really good situation here.
I'll give you the answer because you've offered this previously when his name has come up. You have among the Mase theories. You have one regarding staying one step ahead of the posse, where they get a little tired of you. So let's just say, for example, let's say they go to Iowa and lose, and then they meander the rest of the season. Not awful, but really not maximizing. That's the comeback is, you know what? The clock's always running on you. They get tired of you.
I understand it. I agree. Right. I've said that a million times. But the landscape has changed because the people that I see getting tired now are the people at the top of the heap.
Right. Yeah.
The Penn States, the Floridas, this, that, it's like, no, we're giving you everything you possibly need, a boatload of money, a boatload of NIL deal. And then what happens is, these guys that are given this NIL money, you know what happens? They think they're part owner.
Yeah, they do.
Right. Yeah. What you want their money, but you don't want their 2 cents.
Yes.
The problem is, you take their money, you're going to get their 2 cents.
Whether you like it or not.
So now a guy's going to say, hey, wait a minute. No. Oh, you want me to give it next year? Get a new coach. And so I think it's a little bit different.
I mentioned a texter who talked about somebody named Monty Quinn rushing for 522 yards on 20 carries, 7 touchdowns. That was for Curry College in Division III. Happened last weekend against Nichols. So it is college, but it's another level of college as well.
Anyway, look at it.
Remarkable.
I'm going to tell you, who's real? Gaardsy, you know who's really nervous this year,
Who?
right now, this week? Our good buddy Dave Deno, Michigan graduate.
Oh, yeah.
Down in Tampa, because everybody in the world think the Wolverines is going to roll over the Spartans. But in this game, you never know. So those guys like that, they it's still not a banner year, right? And they're still looking,
correct.
They can't afford ego-wise to lose to the Spartans.
So is it going to be Ohio State, Indiana for the Big Ten title?
I think so. Yeah.
You don't think Michigan can beat Ohio State?
I don't. No, I don't.
Not this year.
No. I'm shocked. I'm still shocked they beat them last year.
Yeah, that's true too.
But that would be a tough ticket to get because they're still playing in Indianapolis, aren't they?
As far as I know, all right, Gaardsy, is that still where the title game is?
Yeah, I think they're moving it eventually, but I think it's in Indy right now.
Good year for the Hoosiers.
Where are they going to move
it there?
I can't
Las
remember.
Vegas?
I think Vegas does have it at some point.
Yeah, sure.
Why wouldn't they?
I wonder who's on the take on getting it moved out there. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
No, it's
not really.
It's all about money. You know how it works.
Yeah.
Enough money's put in front of these guys, they say, let's add it to the pile.
1 for me, 2 for you.
That's it.
That's how it goes. But tough ticket to get, the way the Buckeyes travel, and you got the Hoosiers right there. Wow.
Could be fun. Great hour. You were on fire today. I thought it went really well.
Well, thank you.
Were you pleased? You got your shirt. You got your exposure to your shirt.
You got your shirt.
I got my shirt. Well, you got your shirt publicized because I know you're getting something
I am
out of
not
it.
getting anything.
We'll find out. I've got sources.
Fact versus fiction.
Cannot wait for our visit with Barry Alvarez next week. That's going to be really good. Gaardsy, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. We don't need you. My prediction is Gaardsy is going to get it done.
Yeah.
Barry Alvarez on the show next week.
I just want to remind...
And you guys could grouse about the media.
I just want to remind everybody listening next week, next Wednesday, to tune in 4 to 5 Central Time for the Mason and Barrero Bumper to Bumper.
What about Gaardsy? How come he doesn't get any?
He doesn't count. He's over there.
He's on the other side of the glass.
I don't need to be associated with you two any more than I am.
Couple people are trying to stand up for you.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice, but not necessary.
Not necessary. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Coming up, how about some NBA talk? Wolves open tonight right here on the Fan eventually against Portland. Interesting lineup change that is apparently all but official. We'll talk about that and more as we preview the Wolves season with Jonny Athletic. Dateline Portland.
It's time for Jonny Athletic. Jonny Athletic. Jonny Athletic. And he's on with Dan Barrero right now.
Dateline Portland, Oregon, where once upon a time, the late, great Bill Walton led really one of my favorite NBA teams of all time, the Portland Trailblazers that won the title. Was it late 70s? And Walton was
77, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. He was the straw that stirred the drink. My God, what a magnificent... You want to talk about ensemble team? A team where the whole was greater than the sum of the parts. And it was all really about him. It was all built around him being such a peerless distributor of the basketball. Jonny Athletic is in Portland tracking the Wolves. Will open tonight against a very different Trailblazers team. How was your trip to Portland?
It was uneventful, which is always what you hope for when you're flying on the day of the game.
No question.
You know, you definitely roll the dice. When you fly on the day of the game like this.
No doubt.
But flight was smooth.
Excellent.
Got up, got down. Weather's beautiful, so I'm ready to go.
Outstanding. All right. So, what to make of what sounds like you've confirmed the notion that Dante DiVincenzo will start? He'll be a member of the starting lineup tonight. Mm-hmm. Is this, in place of Conley, is this indicative of a sea change decision? Is it, we're going to try 2 or 3 different things, and this is one of them? What should the average Wolves fan, and you, frankly, make of this particular decision?
Yeah, so I think the way to read it right now is that this is a decision that has been made that is expected to be permanent, as much as, depending, of course, on how everything works out. But this was not a case of matchups or of kind of experimentation. They looked at everything that they had, all the evidence that they had in the preseason, what they got from DiVincenzo, from Dillingham, from Mike Conley, just like looking at who would be best suited to play in that position alongside Anthony Edwards, and they settled on Dante DiVincenzo. It is interesting, Dan, because we all know how much Chris Finch trusts and values Mike Conley, how much he leans on him as sort of the quarterback and the brains of the operation out on the court. And I do think that he generally would prefer to have a prototypical point guard in that spot. So when he goes to DiVincenzo here, it does say to him that the evidence must have been really overwhelming in his eyes and the eyes of the coaching staff that just DiVincenzo just gives them more juice right now at this stage of his career, where Conley is at, maybe allows them to manage Conley's minutes a little bit more. And so it's an important designation and decision that I do think they're going to give plenty of runway to see how it works out, over the course of, dozens of games.
I don't want to be accused of being a Conley apologist. He's a regular on this show. I have very high regard for him, as I think you do too, but I think we all understood that he's reaching an age where there may have to be, quote unquote, a changing of the guard. I'm going to have to be convinced that this is the way you get the most out of what DiVincenzo offers. I'm going to have to be, because I still view him as a guy who's better off the ball scoring. I still view him better as a guy who's coming off of the bench for a team that needs some of that juice as well. So how does it hit you in terms of, again, regardless of whether you think Conley needs to be replaced, whether this makes all that much sense for the purposes of getting this team back to the place it wants to get to and beyond this season?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. To me, from my personal perspective, I thought this made sense quite a while ago in the summer, kind of like looking at how this team was going to shape up, looking at how Chris Finch was going to have to kind of work with the rotations, limit Mike's minutes, do all of the things that needed to be done. It made sense to me with where the NBA is as a league as well. We just look around the league now, and there are not many quintessential game manager point guards left out there. Most of the time, you're seeing combo guards at both spots. And so what this tells me, Dan, though, is one thing about what Chris Finch is thinking about here. And I do think that he has generally, over the last few years, been reluctant to make Anthony Edwards the sort of Luka, James Harden type center of the universe of the offense. I think he wanted to bring him along slowly in that regard, and I think it was a smart thing to do. But making this choice here tells me that Finch feels more comfortable with Anthony Edwards as a decision maker, as a playmaker, as the sun in the center of the solar system. Because I don't think he would make this move if he still had grave reservations about Edwards' ability to have that much responsibility and to see the floor and do things that way. We've heard all summer long and all training camp of how good Edwards has looked. I think that this decision is kind of a stamp of approval of the progress that Anthony Edwards has made. I'm sure there's still going to be nights where he struggles with it, where he turns the ball over, where he does things. But I think that making this decision says to me that Chris Finch has seen a lot of improvement in the way that Anthony Edwards is reading the game and the responsibility that he is ready to shoulder going into season number 6 here.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, because in that vein, you could say, well, this doesn't mean he wants DiVincenzo to be the guy who's constantly handling the ball. It may well mean he's taking Conley out because he thinks Edwards is ready to handle it more. I don't love Edwards handling it all the time, but to your point, I think he was on yesterday, Finchy, with PA. Here's the direct quote, which plays perfectly into this decision today on the starting lineup change. I think we will maybe expect Anthony to play on the ball a little bit more. I think we'll try to play him as the lead guard more and more. So, look, they're seeing him in practice, right? They're seeing him and so obviously they're going to make their decision on the basis of what they see. But it's an interesting bet. And I still, in the back of my mind, worry not so much that he's not improving that area, but I still view him more as a guy who's better suited to, okay, I'm going to have the ball a lot, or I'm going to end up with the ball a lot, but not necessarily that I'm going to have those responsibilities. So we'll see. We'll see. It will be very interesting to see starting tonight how that plays out.
Yeah, and I do think that one of the things you'll hear Chris Finch say probably tonight as we ask him about it and then going forward is, yes, this does mean more for Anthony Edwards on the ball, but I do think that they are going to give the ball to Julius Randle a lot more too.
Yep.
And so they're going to have, and we have also seen in the preseason that Jaden McDaniels is handling it a little bit more in pick and rolls and doing more things in the half court. So I don't believe this is just an all-in and you are going to have the ball in your hands all of the time type of a situation. But I do think it is there. What fans should view this decision as and this new lineup as is there's not necessarily a point guard and a shooting guard. There are two guards in the backcourt that are going to kind of spread around the duties and the ball handling. And you'll bring in Conley off the bench and you'll bring other guys to rotate in through the game. But this is going to be a move more toward, yes, giving the Ant the ball a little bit more, but also getting Julius Randle even more involved in a playmaking, facilitating mode. He led the team in assists last year, and I think that you'll see that play out a lot early too in this new configuration.
Will Anthony Edwards play tonight?
I believe he will. Yeah, from everyone that I've talked to, yeah, he had some back spasms, but from what I was told is that he really has been over the last 3-4 days, working out multiple times a day, really trying to get himself ready to get off to a great start here, and just did have a little bit of discomfort, but it was nothing that was major, and that he will be. Everyone expects him to be in the starting lineup tonight.
Not including, if we exclude Naz Reid, will Shannon be the first wing player in off the bench?
Yes, I think so. Yep, I think that's the way it goes now, because it will be interesting to see exactly how Chris Finch deploys Mike Conley off the bench and Rob Dillingham and what he does with those two spots. But Terrence Shannon Jr. has positioned himself to be that guy now, and to hear Chris Finch talk about what he's done, the work he's done this summer and this fall to get ready for this, the shooting improvements that he's made, the defensive and playmaking improvements that he's made. There's just a lot of optimism about what Terrence Shannon Jr. can do this year. And so he is the clear cut now. I would say he might even be the seventh guy.
Right.
He was the eighth guy before, and he might be the seventh guy now. And then it'll be up to Finch to kind of play with that 8, 9, 9.5, and what he does at the end of the rotation there. But Shannon is fully in this rotation now, and it's going to have some big minutes.
Do all these machinations regarding the point guard and the change in the starting lineup confirm that at least at the start of the season, there is still not all that much faith that Dillingham is ready?
Yeah, I think there's still questions about it. Absolutely. There's going to be some people who will say that, well, what Rob Dillingham needs is just to be out there for consistent minutes and learn and play and improve that way. And then there's going to be others who say, well, hey, we're a team that's trying to contend literally for a championship this year. We've got to kind of build in a lot of guardrails for him, and we don't quite trust him to have the reins just yet. So certainly, they definitely don't see him yet as a starting caliber point guard, because otherwise they would have made that change and gone to Dillingham instead of DiVincenzo. But I also still think that some of the things he did in the preseason were good, but there's still a lot of things that he put on the tape that lead to questions about his readiness to be playing on a team that wants to be a top 4 seed in the West and wants to contend for a title. And so he's going to have to, in the minutes that he gets, he's going to have to kind of prove himself to the coaching staff and to the rest of the organization that he is ready for more than what will immediately be available for him.
Athletic asked for each of you who covers NBA teams to offer your boldest prediction And you did, as I alluded to yesterday on the show. You picked the Timberwolves to win the NBA title this year. For you to be right, for you to get the genius label, give me the top 2 or 3 things that are required.
Yeah, so I tried to fit the bill of the bold prediction and went as bold as I could. I will say at the start, of course, Oklahoma City is the overwhelming favorite and should be. I just think it's really hard to repeat. I think Denver, it will be favored over the Timberwolves, but I think the Wolves always play well against Denver. So that's why I like the Wolves this year. I like their continuity, but for it to happen, for the unthinkable to become reality, there's going to have to be a couple of things. One, first and foremost, is that Anthony Edwards is going to have to graduate from a top 10, 9, 8 player in the league to a top 2, 3, 4, maybe 3, 4 player in the league,
right.
like fully in the MVP conversation, playing consistent defense most nights of an 82 game season, being the guy who can commandeer this offense and make plays for others, including getting himself going, and also become more efficient in clutch time situations. They could have won 7, 8, 9 more games last year if he handled clutch time situations better. And so if he does blossom into that top 5 level player, that's number one. Number two, I really think, which is also very viable and feasible, is I think that Jaden McDaniels has another level to reach as a two-way player. You're going to see the ball in his hands more. You're going to see him put it on the floor and try and make plays. I think he's the best finisher at the rim on the team and in transition. And so I think if he becomes more of a 15, 16 point a game guy, a legitimate threat offensively, in addition to his all NBA level defense, that is going to help things a lot. And thirdly is that Chris Finch is going to have to do a really good job of managing this rotation, of doing two things at once, which is making sure that his veterans are in the right spots, primed and ready and comfortable, but also that he does have to develop the end of his bench, the Shannons, the Dillinghams, the Clarks, the Berringers, to be ready for the inevitable times during the season when you're going to need them to step in for injuries, the times in the playoffs when you need some kind of boost. He's going to have to be very deft in doing all of those things. All three of those things are very viable and feasible, Dan. And so I think if you get at least two of them, Ant and Jaden, going and leaping into kind of a different stratosphere, it's going to get really interesting around here.
Jonny is in Portland tracking the Wolves. All the action will be available to you via the Fan later tonight, as well as the Timberwolves channel. That's easily acquired via the free iHeart Radio app as well. Jonny, brought to you by our good friends at RBC Wealth Management. What do we need to know right now about the Portland Trailblazers, the opponent tonight?
Yeah, I'll say this is not going to be an easy game. First of all, the Timberwolves the last couple of years have really sort of laid some eggs in the opener. They don't play well. And if they don't play well tonight, they're going to get beat because the Trailblazers are very, very good defensively. They run up and down the floor, which usually gives the Wolves problems. They have some intriguing young talent. They have Shaedon Sharpe and Donovan Clingan, and they got Drew Holiday in a trade from Boston as a vet to be a veteran leader, and Chauncey Billups. Towards the end of last year, I think the Blazers were number one in defense over the last 3 months of the season. So they're a young, feisty, hungry group. They love to run in transition, and they guard you. Tamani Kamara was teammates with Ant at Georgia. He's one of the best defensive perimeter players in the league, and so him going up against Ant is going to be interesting tonight. And so they're not necessarily in the conversation for top 6 in the West and surefire playoff teams, but in this deep conference, fans who are expecting an easy one tonight, I think, are going to be surprised when they see how these guys play and get after it, especially on opening night, in your home court.
Is Lillard out the entire season? Is that what we expect?
Yes, he's out the entire season, but I'm sure it'll be emotional there he'll be back in the building,
yes.
and he is Portland's version of KG. So, a return is going to be thunderous in there, welcoming him back, and will give them, definitely an energy boost just having him back in the building. But yeah, he will be out all of this year with the Achilles injury, and we'll see, what happens after that and how he comes back at this late stage of his career.
Texter wants to know whether the new owners would be in Portland tonight. I'd be shocked if they weren't, right? I mean, don't they usually travel at a time like this?
Well, I don't know because A-Rod is doing baseball
that's right.
TV coverage.
That's true.
So I actually might be surprised to see him. I would think that Mark Laurie is going to be up here. I don't know. I haven't confirmed that for sure, but I would imagine first night, new owners, you own the team. Maybe even A-Rod will fly up. I'm not sure. But he is definitely also neck deep in the Fox baseball coverage and doing all that stuff on TV. So he's got a lot on his plate right now.
Is it possible, I know you're very busy because you're on, I'm assuming, the first two games of the season on this trip from here to Los Angeles, that you will be able to reveal, I'm not asking for all 77 items in the burn book, but at least like 25 or 30 of the most hidden ones that might be underrated before we're done? What do we make of the whole burn book thing regarding the Glenn Taylor effort to muddy the waters regarding the ownership debate?
Yeah, well, I'll say that, Pablo Torre put that out on his podcast yesterday, and I had heard similar about it, and full transparency, I've been reporting on this for a very long time, and eventually The Athletic will have a sweeping story about this whole process and saga. But yeah, I mean, that's the information that Pablo provided is correct. And what we do know about this whole battle was that it was very bitter, and it was very messy and ugly. And I do think that there were efforts on both sides, but certainly on Glenn Taylor's side to disparage Mark Laurie and Alex Rodriguez, to say that, hey, these guys were unfit to own the team. He really believes that. He still believes that to this day, that they were not right for this job, both, whether it's from a financial perspective or just from a stewardship standpoint. And so they must have thought that was going to be a compelling argument to present this in the arbitration. I will say, I don't think it was a wise move, because a lot of the contents of it were, in fact, things about A-Rod's steroid history and, Mark Laurie's business dealings and stuff like that. And that's just completely irrelevant to that particular proceeding, and what the arbitrators were trying to interpret, who adhered to the contract and who didn't. And any sort of character assassination just was never going to be compelling. And so I guess I wouldn't have been surprised if they presented that to the NBA Board of Governors and said, hey, here, look at this. You guys vote them down. But it was never going to help them in an arbitration process.
Excellent work. Very good series of stories leading up to the start of the season as well, with all available via The Athletic. Going back to the Randall story, you had a great one about Finchy, I think most recently, and several others as well. Good luck tonight. Enjoy this evening, and we will chat next week. Have a good road trip.
Thanks, Dan. I'll part with this. One thing to keep in mind about DiVincenzo as well, he is a guy who likes to be in the starting lineup. I think he was there in New York. He felt good about it. There, it's some players it matters, some players it doesn't. True. I think he will play well because of that. So I'm interested. Can't wait to get this thing going. But appreciate you having me on as always.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Thanks, Johnny.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
Jonny Athletic, Johnny Krasinski with the latest on the Wolves. He is in Portland tracking the Wolves, who will be available to you later tonight on The Fan. It looks like Anthony Edwards will play. He did give us a little food for thought there at the end about DiVincenzo as a starter in terms of just his own approach, which we might be able to follow up on. We're out at 5:30 tonight for Vikings programming, then leading into Minnesota Wild hockey on The Fan. We're going to get to a top 5 at 5, though. That is coming up next. I'm assuming previewing Wolves, previewing your Minnesota Wild club. Anything else on the agenda?
A surprising name on the Vikings' final injury report?
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
I'm sorry, a little late because, well, it's official. They're back together again. Shaq, Kenny, Charles, and the entire TNT crew now on ESPN.
How they looking?
Well, they look good. The best part was Shaq out of the gate saying, let's be clear, let's be honest about something. This is the real opening night when we're on tonight. Last night was cute.
Oh, wow.
The rest of them tried to play nice. No, NBC did a great job. We're all in this together, all that. But you needed that. You need from the moment you come back to go with the same irreverence that you did all along, right? So I don't know how planned that was, but I like that Shaq did it. And I didn't even know that he meant it.
Right.
But that's what they got to do, right? That's the whole bit, because that's what they represent. Anyway, you were saying? You got my curiosity level high regarding that injury report.
I figured I might. C.J. Ham with a hand injury is out.
That's not the big one.
Brian O'Neill is questionable.
Ooh.
J.J. McCarthy, we know, questionable. Carson Wentz was full the last 2 days, so there we go.
Oh, I thought that was going to be the bit.
No.
That today he was limited.
No. Today, Christian Darrisaw did not participate, and he is listed
that load management?
as questionable. It's not.
Uh-oh.
Because as Seifert reminds us...
Uh-oh.
I'll read Seifert's tweet. And by the way, they really didn't practice at all this week because they're playing tomorrow. It's essentially all walkthroughs. But as Seifert reminds us, Christian Darrisaw took regularly scheduled days off from practice before the bye and took himself out of the Browns game as he worked back from his ACL, MCL. But he played every snap versus the Eagles. If this were a rest day, the report would have said not injury related. So the fact that on the injury report it says Christian Darrisaw injury knee DNP questionable is why it has everyone's attention.
Well, that's got my attention too. I mean,
don't ask me who the backup is and what we're going to do. I know
this team needs at this point, right? Now, again, I'm not saying if he's hurt, or something's gone wrong, or the knee's not holding up. These things do happen. But that's very daunting, right? Short week as it is. You already got volatility in your offensive line. Your right tackle, still questionable at this point. Is that what you said? The right tackle?
Let me pull it up. Vikings injury report. Yes, I think questionable is what I said. Brian O'Neill, yep.
The center had a disastrous game, although Lieber tried to tell us it's a completely different kind of defensive line, so he's not as worried this week. But I would assume he'd be a little concerned if we're not starting a regular left tackle. So,
yeah.
God, good luck to you, Carson Wentz. Just you know what? This
be ready, Max.
To be honest with you, this should be a liberating situation for Wentz. It's almost like now he knows he's on borrowed time, so he can just go. What are they going to do to him? Bench him? At this point, he's going to get benched probably anyway, so he can just go out and play. And God forbid that the head coach might help him out a little bit by running the ball occasionally, but we'll see.
Despite what Shaq said, the NBA season did open up last
yes,
night on NBC. The Thunder beat the Rockets in double overtime, 125-124. SGA with 35 points
and
there.
And he had 6 at the half.
Yeah.
Now, again, it was a double overtime game, but...
And then the Warriors outlasted the Lakers 119-109. Jimmy Butler with 31 to lead Golden State. Skinny Luka, who you say might be beefing up already.
Yeah, I think he's started. I'm not saying he's gained it all back yet. Looks a little bit bigger to me.
He came back and the In-N-Out burgers were just too much.
That's tempting.
43 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists
Hard
for
to argue
Luka.
with that. How did he play defensively, though?
I didn't see that much.
Right. I saw very little of that game.
So did I. The Wolves and a lot of other teams open the season tonight. You'll hear that game on the Timberwolves channel of your iHeartRadio app. And then right here on the Fan after the Wild play. We probably will sync it up pretty quickly. But it's Portland tonight. Anthony Edwards listed as questionable with back spasms. That popped last night in the first availability report. Jonny Athletic telling you 30 minutes ago he expects him to play. And we also learned that Dante DiVincenzo is the starting point guard for the 2025-2026 season. And our guy Mike Conley will come off the bench.
Towards the end of our discussion with Johnny, he gave us a freebie note mentioning that he believes part of this change is that DiVincenzo really feels better as a starter. Now, I can hear people rolling their eyes. If you can hear the rolling of eyes, I can. Because you go, well, we're happy for you. You're paid a lot of money. Deal with what you have to deal with, whether you're coming off the bench or whatever. But, and this is a big but, historically speaking, there are players who, for whatever reason, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's silly, play better when they start.
It matters
from the start of the game. But for me, it shouldn't matter mentally. It should matter more. He just plays better, and maybe it's all fits together. So I don't know how much that entered into this decision. I still think it does hurt them on the bench in terms of bench scoring, as you mentioned earlier. And I think it's still what I think we're figuring out is it doesn't mean they intend literally for DiVincenzo to replace Conley. It actually means Anthony Edwards is going to have the ball in his hands even more. I don't like that as a cure for this team if you want to say that they need to get even better offensively than they've been. But it sounds like it's more of that. But there are players from a rhythm standpoint, whatever the case may be, that if they're out there from the beginning, they are able to establish something that they're not as good at when they're coming off the bench. Maybe that will unlock the best of what DiVincenzo had to offer. Remember, he started in New York. His best seasons were in New York, and he, as I recall it, for at least some of that started. That was when he played his best basketball. So maybe that's also what's dictating here what's going on. Keep in mind, though, he was playing next to a scoring point guard, Jalen Brunson, but I think a guy who is still better suited than Anthony to run the show. Maybe Anthony is ready to take whatever that next step is. But how does this jibe with what were we told? We got to have everything he can give you defensively. What did we hear in the past? Well, he's got so many offensive responsibilities. Are we really being fair to him, expecting him to be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen defensively every possession? That's, to me, part of what concerns me about these changes, but it's a long season that starts tonight.
First pitch from Portland, 9 o'clock. You'll hear that game, as I mentioned, on the app, as well as the fan. Following the Minnesota Wild against the New York Islanders, and Marco Rossi is expected to play after missing Monday's game with the Rangers with a lower body.
Is this Gus Bus tonight? I think it is.
I believe it is Gus Bus. And one quick reminder, I should have had this ready, but I wasn't completely prepared. We're out at 5:30 tonight because we've got to do Vikings X's and O's. Let's do this.
Watching this Wild and Rangers game, and whoever this commentator is like the chillest dude on the planet. Like, he's borderline putting me to sleep. I don't know who this guy is, but okay.
What's the machine people use to put themselves to sleep? It's a white noise machine?
White noise is what they call it.
So basically she's saying that Luigi is like white noise.
So you have like rainstorm, crashing waves, Lou Nanny.
In the continuum. It all works together.
The problem is it's a 6 o'clock start, and I want to watch the Wolves game tonight at 9.
Did you happen to check out the latest text from Gaardsy's conscience? Do you know who that really is?
No, I don't have the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line up. It makes sense.
FYI, extended Wild postgame may last until midnight. Sorry, not sorry. So he might purposefully go long, work extra, just so we can't switch over to the Wolves game in Portland.
Well, here's what I'll say. It's never been easier to set the Timberwolves channel on your iHeartRadio app to eliminate any issues there. Maybe plan ahead, because I can't imagine anything more boring than a Islanders Wild postgame show.
Yeah.
Going into the night.
Well, aren't we playing the Devils tonight, by the way?
October 27th. Oh, did I say Islanders?
Yeah, I think we're playing the Devils tonight.
Devils, New Jersey. Yeah.
I don't want to get you in more trouble with phones.
Actually, I kind of like it. I might even say the Rangers.
Yeah, why not?
Back-to-back against them. So that's what we got.
Very quickly, no Kessler today because he's on his way with the beautiful people to check out Vikings Chargers, correct?
He just texted me.
Yeah.
A picture, a selfie of him and Lil B, who's also on the partner trip,
okay, right?
Kessler, Lil B's there because she actually works for a partner,
right?
Us.
Yep.
Her husband's with her. Kessler's there because he's the permanent +1.
Correct.
For Freaky McFreak.
Where is this? Beverly Hills? Where was this shot taken?
There's palm trees in the background of this picture, and Kessler's text was, "Our blood alcohol content is none of your business."
Even though you didn't ask.
I didn't ask. No, I just got the selfie.
Bonus bucks?
Fan and 2 men and a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. You can enter the keyword bank at KFAN.com. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword bank. You can join the fans Justin Guard at Gray's Food Hall for the special Thursday night Purple Watch Party. That is tomorrow night, taking on Los Angeles. Great food and drinks. Your shot to win awesome prizes every quarter. Nordo and I have done a bunch of these this season. They're very fun. Gray's Food Hall is awesome. Come see us tomorrow night starting at 7. KFAN.com, keyword calendar. Show wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper to bumper show wrap.
Vikings X's and O's is as soon as we're done at the bottom of this hour. Then Wild Devils, followed by Minnesota Timberwolves in Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Tomorrow's truncated show, picks with Gerby, Sean Salisbury, and we hope Dr. Dan's inbox. I'm going to try to squeeze in a very quick done as, because I don't know if we'll have time to get to it tomorrow. This is actually a combination done as and seal of approval. The seal of approval part is for former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who told CBS News that Paul Ingracia's recent comments likening Martin Luther King Jr. to 1960s George Floyd and suggesting that MLK Day be ended and tossed into the seventh circle of hell are, as McCarthy puts it, disqualifying for the role President Trump has nominated him for, leading the Office of Special Counsel. I don't know why this is bothering me so much. Actually, I do know why it's bothering me so much. I mean, on the one hand, you say, well, we've got people throwing out stuff every day, so why should you lose your mind over any idiocy? It's because, for me, this reaches a new level. You're not a serious person. You are a jackass if you actually cling to that opinion. MLK, the 1960s George Floyd. Does this clown have any idea what he's saying? What sort of important part of American history he is ignoring? If you have any appreciation at all of history, at least then, what MLK endured, the times in which he attempted to lead, what was happening in the country, especially in the South, the marches, the legal strategies, the daily pressure that this man had in trying to lead us, at least to some degree, out of the morass that we were in when it came to segregation, putting his damn life on the line and ultimately being murdered for it. And you've got this clown who thinks we're in 2025 and everything's a game. I just throw it out there. I might mean it. I might not mean it. Who cares? It's embarrassing. It is absolutely disqualifying. And it tells me you're not a serious person. If you resist what is American history to that degree, you don't deserve to be in any position of authority. Because, I'll say again, you've decided in 2025 everything's a game. We'll throw it out there later and half serious, half kidding, trying to get a reaction. He got a reaction out of me. I'm not the only one. But thank God the former speaker, a Republican named Kevin McCarthy, said, go ahead, you can do it. But then you have literally disqualified yourself for any position of authority because it doesn't show seriousness to acknowledging the history of what MLK represents and what he was about. So I guess he didn't show up for this reason, among others, for the hearings that he allegedly was going to be a part of. Maybe he figured it out. He doesn't even have votes among Republicans, and he shouldn't have votes among Republicans. What an embarrassment. Are there ever any limits to this? Obviously, they're not. Martin Luther King, man. Do you understand the seriousness of what he had to deal with on a day-to-day basis? And you just throw out this cavalier BS? To what end? To prove what? To prove that you are a jackass. That wraps up the show for today. I'm glad I got it out of my system. We'll talk to you tomorrow beginning at 3 o'clock.
Where are we, America?
I think everybody's jacked up. Are you?